Welcome to Forever Exiled, a podcast. I'm Justin, aka Tags.
Tyler, Wrecker of Days. Yes, this is just a normal podcast where we occasionally talk Path of Exile.
Yep, it comes up every now and then.
I like that. Welcome to Forever Exile.
A podcast.
A podcast.
If you didn't know, episode 203. 203. That's a lot of curvy letters. You like that, numbers, right?
It is, yeah. My twos are curvy.
I imagine they are.
There's no straight.
Do you do the circle at the bottom? Like it goes.
Well, it's not circle, it's a loop.
Yeah.
It's not
and then
circle.
At the end,
Circles
do you curl it up? Or does it go straight?
Depends. I'm
feeling
very
fancy?
inconsistent with my. No, it's it's my. However, it works. My letters do not often look the same.
Whatever your head decides at that moment.
It is, yes. And our patrons will definitely discover that because often it'll start really, decent and legible at the beginning. And then the cards, as I finish writing, my brain's not working. They'll find like scratches or like me trying to go over a letter because I screwed up. You know, I crossed an L or something.
Because he writes
like
in cursive.
That,
so if you want to practice your cursive, sign up for Patreon. Big shout out to our patrons. Thank you so much for the support. Thank you, Fluffy, for joining our Patreon this week and other people who resubscribed. Love your faces. Patreon's access to After Dark. It's our podcast after the podcast. It's another podcast after this podcast.
it's a podcast.
And now,
and sometimes we talk Path of Exile.
And now it's available on Spotify, which is awesome because you don't have to use the Patreon app, which sucks for listening to it. So yeah, it's on Spotify now, which is awesome. And so thanks patrons, and thanks for everybody for hitting that 5-star. Just go ahead and hit it again if you haven't done it yet. Just the 5.
just make sure you hit it right. Just make sure.
It's your ranking in the most stars is good. So it's not golf. The biggest numbers is the best. So thank you everybody for your support. We love your faces.
And Brian recently signed up for Patreon. Want to apologize. Your card, which we got lost in translation a little bit.
Fault.
And so
it's my fault. Yeah. Sorry. I found it on the dining room floor. I'm not sure how it happened. I'm going to blame my kids, but I saw it was just recent. So it would have just recently gone out. It's gone out now, but yeah, I was walking through my dining room. We were getting ready for some people coming over. And I was like, I look down, I see a card with writing on it. I'm like, what the hell? And then I can't find the envelope and I'm like, what the heck? How did this happen? So I messaged Ty. I'm like, when was this supposed to go out? And my wife ended up finding the envelope. So it was found on my dining room floor. The card envelope now has a kiss from my wife. So we are sorry. It's in the mail.
And it probably has some jam stains from Justin's kids, a little bit of honey.
Yep.
But no, anyway, sorry, Brian. Your card is on the way, though, and thank you for your patience.
It is on the way.
Hey, Just.
Yeah, buddy.
This Friday, so it's Friday today. It's still August for us, but next Friday when we start recording, it's going to be September 1st. And you know what happened September 1st, 2010?
Tell me, Ty.
PoE was officially announced.
Okay. Huh.
I don't know where I got these dates from, and I'm pretty sure that some of them are wrong because I remember once Bex tweeting out something like, hey, it's been whatever anniversary, and in my notes I'm like, no, that was like 2 months ago.
I checked my notes, Bex.
I'm pretty sure that I don't know where I got it from, but anyway, September 1st, 2010, according to me, Path of Exile was officially announced.
You know what else is happening next week? We're going to be at that games thing in Seattle.
Shut up, that's next weekend?
It's on Saturday.
No.
Yeah, the 2nd.
No, wait.
Pretty sure, man. I haven't.
Oh yeah, look at that.
I still got to grab our passes, but yep. We're going to be at the game. What is it called? It's a games convention.
PAX West.
That's the one.
Yeah.
We're going to be there on Saturday. Saturday the 2nd.
Gamescom going on right now? They're going from Germany all the way to Seattle within like 2 seconds.
Cool. Sure.
Because Gamescom's going on right now.
Cool. So
wow, I never did the math in my head or bothered that it was.
The Seattle one starts on Friday on the 1st, but we're going on the 2nd.
Cool.
Yeah, it should be fun.
Awesome. Yeah, you better get those. How long do they hold it for?
Till I say to. I'm gonna.
No, they don't.
Yes, they do. I'm friends with the owner.
Oh, sure you are.
I'm gonna get it. I don't know. I'll get it. It's in the works.
Can't wait.
We'll pick
it. Dude, if this ends up that they sent them back because you took too long, because they've been there for like a month now.
No. No, maybe 3.
Time
maybe 3
flies
weeks
for you.
2-3 weeks, maybe. We're not in a month
They
yet.
don't hold it for forever.
Yeah.
Go get them.
Deal.
Listeners in Mexico, California, Oregon, hope you're okay. More, Earth stuff.
Yeah, the world's just going
hurricanes, earthquakes in the middle of hurricanes. Hopefully everybody's okay. Hopefully it didn't hit as hard as was expected, but wishing you all the best, and same with everyone else that's hopefully not burning in Canada and everywhere else.
Smoky today
All
here.
Wildfires. Yes, it is. Least of our concerns, though, considering we don't have to deal with the fire. So
Nope. How was your week, buddy?
yeah, I had a good week, man. I had a good week. Our friend Justin, not you, other Justin, they ended up winning some tickets to Cultist Lake Water Park, and they ended up not being able to go by the time it closes down for the season. So they gave us the tickets, which was very nice of them. And it's a pretty expensive park. I mean, I guess it's like any other amusement park, but I mean, we weren't thinking of going just because of the cost of it. And so it was nice to be able to go for free, and we went, and the kids are the perfect age for water slides. I don't know if you remember when we used to go to water slides, but my kids are 8 and 10. And I guess because of COVID, like this kind of stuff hasn't really come across our mind to be like, okay, now the COVID's on, we have to do this and this and this and this and this. Like normal life just kept on going. And all of a sudden they're 8 and 10 and hadn't been to a water slide park before. So when the opportunity came up, I was like, what? Yeah, let's go. And so my kids, just because, like I said, COVID and all that kind of stuff, they hadn't done it. So my daughter's just like, I want to do the steepest, scariest stuff right away. She's doing the Valley of Fear. Oh, she wants to do the black hole tunnels and all that kind of stuff. And my son, there were some parts, like the first time he went on one of the crazy, what are they called, where you go down the tubes? They have a really wide one where you can go like with a family of 4 or 6 down tubes. He was crying and he was nervous, but by the end of it, like so like I've gained some weight since we started the podcast. And so now when you're doing the whole family on the tube, the heavier the tube, the faster you go, the bigger on the edges.
You're
so
not that
I went
big, though.
with them yeah. I used to be around the 160s, 170. I was around 170, now I'm 190. But that adds up when you're going down a tube with your family, like that extra 190 pounds. Well, see, at the beginning, my son was like, Dad, you can't come anymore. It's too fast.
That's awesome.
And that was fine because I shouldn't be going on that stuff, both with my neck and my concussion stuff. Yeah. It's just, and then like thrashing back and forth. And then, like all the sudden stop coming into the water at the end. So I did some for my kids to show them how fun it was. I tried to race them down a few times. You remember when we used to go to the top and there'd be like the 4 water slides at this one part? I mean, it's huge now. There's like 20 slides at Cultist, but when we used to go, it was like 4 or 5. And we would like all wait at the top, and then we'd wait. And then once all the slides were clear, then we'd all go down at the same time and try and race down. So I tried to do that with my kids. And so, I risked my health a bit just to, have fun with them and show them how great it was. But by the end, yes, my daughter was still like, I want to do the crazy stuff. I want to do it's great. But by the end, my son was also like, Dad, you have to come on the canyon trip, the one with the big tube. He's like, it has to go faster. So they both braved up pretty well and they had a great time. And yeah, it was fun. And that park, man, is crazy different now. I mean, it's been 25 years since I've been, but
yeah, it's big.
Yeah, it is. It is. And they do a fantastic job. Except for the employees, like the safest place in the world to be, because there's like 300 lifeguards everywhere. They do such a great job with it, but none of them want to be there. You can't hear them. They're whispering all the like safety stuff they're mandated to tell you before and after. And they're like, nobody wants to be there. I was laughing at it so bad. But anyway, we had an awesome week. It was really good.
You should check out the, I think it's called the Aldergrove Water Park. It's a new water park, but it's huge. Apparently very, very nice. My kids are actually there today with my family because my sister's in town. And so they went with all the kids. And but it's cheap and you have a time slot. So like, I think they get there at 10:30 and they're allowed in there till 1:30. It's actually bizarre to me. They literally clear out the whole park. And then the 2:30 to whatever, 5:30 people come in. But it's like,
that's not a bad idea because people don't actually want to be there the whole day. A long time.
No, kids might, but parents
well,
are
honestly, though, at the end,
let's go.
We were there for 5 hours and we didn't realize it.
But this is like,
I'm a
I think it was $27 for our family, for my wife to go with our 4 kids. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Like their prices are great, but they sell quickly. You have to pay ahead of time and book your slots. It's like 900 slots or something. But
and it's a water park, slides.
Yeah, it's apparently amazing. My brother was telling me about it too. He's been a couple times, I think. But so anyway, yeah.
Did he bring his kids or did he just go by himself?
No, he took his kids. Can I ride with you?
Right on. That's cool. And how about you? You have a week?
Yeah, my week sucked work wise, but it's just busy. And then what else did we do this week? My sister's in town, so we hung out with them a couple times. And
are you listening to the running upstairs at my house?
I heard somebody just like take out a wall.
My kids are not walking anywhere these days. I think it's time for school because they go to the bathroom, they sprint. They forget their doll, they sprint.
Yeah,
they need their stuffy, they sprint.
Awesome.
They've forgotten an eraser, they're sprinting. So anyway, sorry about that.
No, that's fine. So we hung out with my sister a little bit because she's visiting in town, and I just worked. I literally just it was a very busy week. It's going to be all weekend. I got to deal with some stuff for next week. So otherwise, I played some Man, it was actually, I guess it was kind of a boring week.
Except you got to play PoE.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that. I did get to play some PoE.
That doesn't sound good.
No, I did. I'm at a weird spot though, I feel like, but we'll talk about that when we get into PoE. But it was a good week. It was a good week. It was fun to see my sister and her kids, and my kids love it because they only see them twice a year. So it's a lot of fun for them to play and do stuff. And we had like the tiniest amount of rain on one day. It was very weird. Like overnight it rained. Yeah.
Oh yes, we did. I didn't have to water the plants the next day.
Yeah. It didn't shift the shade of my grass, which was unfortunate. You know,
it did. No, you're waiting for the middle of September.
I did not water my grass this August. I felt way too bad considering watering my grass just because of everything going on, and I was like, nah, it's not worth it.
Look at you, Justin. Hey, because you used to be like the girlfriend, and you would just do it.
Yeah, not this.
Good for you,
I
Justin.
chilled out a little bit this summer. That being said, I got to figure out how to ease it back in because I don't want to deal with what I dealt with last year, which was a very dead lawn trying to bring back, and it was rough. So I'm gonna figure out. I got to talk to my guy and figure out what the best way is to ease it back in. What do I put on it to get it back and luscious?
I know you like a really low cut, so you require much more maintenance to require the greenery. Next year, I'm not going to water at all. This year, for the first half of the summer, I tried watering, as long as restrictions permitted, of course, with our watering restrictions here. But then once watering was no longer allowed for lawns, it was a big relief because it's a lot, especially when it's not working. You know what I mean? You're not allowed to water enough to keep it green. But at the same time, I'm trying to penny pinch as well. And, interest rates keep going up and all that kind of stuff. So next year, I want to not water at all and just let nature do it. But I like a longer cut. Like I have the second highest setting on my lawnmower, and you like probably the second lowest. And so I'm going to try and keep it long, and hopefully that'll help, right, with the really strong roots and the deep. But I'm also going to start aerating once a year as opposed to once every 2 years. And I think that'll be a big help.
I do mine once a year, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't.
So I'll get somebody to aerate the lawn once a year, front and back. I'll overseed, but only overseed whenever nature allows. I'm not going to do I'll do it when there's 2 weeks of rain coming up, hopefully. And then, and I think that's going to be it. I'm going to see what it's going to be like just trying to, and so the problem is remembering this. And yes, I know people, I make notes, I write it down, but then where's the note? Next summer, like what like that's a difficult thing to find 10 months later. So anyway, I'm going to try that next year, and I'm going to see if I have better success. The tough thing for me with my front lawn, my back lawn's fantastic. The front of my lawn, I think the dirt's a lot thicker and nicer closer to the house, but as I get closer to the street, it gets much more narrow, and there's just like they get the same amount of sun, but the front half of my lawn is just dead.
Doesn't your backyard
it's not dead,
have
it'll
some
grow
coverage
back
from trees though?
It does. The backyard. Right. So the backyard's perfect. The backyard's like just green everywhere, except for this one spot that it's always dead. I think there's a tree root underneath from where there maybe used to be a massive tree, and it's just not. Because even after we had the perimeter drain put in and everything was dug up, that one part wasn't. And so I was just hoping that whatever it was that was there would just get mixed in with everything else and everything was fine. But it's still just this one strip. It's like 10 feet long, 1 foot wide. We're just always dead right in front of the lilacs.
The dog pees.
No, the dog pees and poos everywhere. So, but yeah. So anyway, that's what I'm going to try. And hopefully I'm going to remember no watering next year, just overseeding, really high cut. And I want to see if the whole front lawn stays green, because right now the back half of the front lawn stays green, but not the front half. So hopefully aerating will mix up that dirt and spread it out, and it'll give enough space for the love.
Sweet. How's your week in PoE?
You want to do our week in PoE, or you want to
do
this week?
This week in PoE. I got carried away. Let's do it this week in PoE.
So not a lot of like, I mean, there was some community stuff with, like dressing up and all that kind of, what do they call that, cosplay and all that kind of stuff. But then there's there was one, and I do like this. What's been discovered so far? Like you and I, we have issues when patch notes aren't patch notes, but we love it when there's a lot of content that is discovered by the community.
Uniques for sure.
You know what I mean? Like core aspects and mechanics of the game should not, in my opinion, aren't the types of things where the community needs to discover it. Like I remember what's Syndicate called? What was the league called? When Betrayal came out, and you had to discover that all those NPCs did massive amounts of chaos damage or physical converted to, like there was just lots of damage in there where people are like, why are we dying? And then it's revealed later that it's chaos damage. I don't like that kind of stuff. But when it comes to uniques and div cards and other really neat things that they just secretly added to the game, as like, talking like items and discoverable
stuff that's not going to change your build. Like for the negative, because uniques can change it for the positive, which is fine.
And so I really like that. And I actually really like whoever did the post. Community last name team. Good job, Mr. or Mrs. Team. They just made it a picture where you can hover over everything, all the different uniques, and see what it is. I like that they did that. No explanations, no nothing, just all the different omens that they have and rings and uniques.
I wonder what they base that really on. Cool. Which ones have been discovered
how
so
do they
far?
Yeah, right.
Like there must be something they can see in the back end to see what's actually been identified or something.
That would be my favorite part. If I could work there, it would just be to like get what's it called when you just like go through all the data,
just all the analytics and stats.
I would just stare at that stuff all day. My spreadsheets would. Oh, Justin, that'd be like looking at lingerie at work. All those spreadsheets. Oh. Anyway, I like that post. I thought that was really cool. There was really cool thing, because obviously we'll get into PC because PC is more up to date. PC has the B hotfix 3, so they've gone up quite a ways. Console has been updated as well, which I thought was really cool because a lot of these hotfixes just came out yesterday with PC and they applied them to console immediately. So I don't know. I guess the things aren't the way they used to be when it comes to, I mean, this is Xbox. I don't know about PlayStation, but you used to have like a delay where it needed to be verified. I don't know. I guess there's better communication there, however it works, but console is completely up to date with PC. Console got released this past Wednesday, so 2 days ago for us. That's when League launched. But the Tuesday night, the night before, they had the complete update.
Oh, that's cool.
Now, specifically for this one, and they told us ahead of time, which I love that GGG did. They say, hey, for this patch, you're going to have to re-download the entire game. For us, that doesn't matter. I pay a little bit extra, so we have unlimited data, so we don't have to worry about data amounts. But so game gets downloaded. Standards available. Like the whole game is 3.22, just the League doesn't launch until the next day. So this was so cool. I really want them to continue this for PC because Standard was launched. If I'm a Standard player, I could start playing with all the new gems, all the new everything that was added to core. So basically everything that isn't, what do we call it? Trails of the Ancestors.
Ancients.
Everything that... is Ancestors the correct one? Okay, Trails of the Ancients. And so outside of that, I could play my full characters. I could do the respec. I could convert my map tab. Oh, and seriously, whoever it is at GGG that did the map tab conversion but made it visual so I can see the maps leaving my old tab or entering the new one, and there's a progress bar that actually works, not like old school Windows stuff. Whoever it is, I I want to take you out for coffee or pizza or whatever it is that you like, or sushi, but it has to be something I like too. But oh, so good, so good. So I'm clapping. I don't know if that'll catch it or Justin will take it out, but so good. But it was really neat because I was also thinking like it takes so much stress out of like if you're a guild leader, if this was on PC and you could load it, you could organize and make sure and double check all your tabs for your guild stash tab or your personal stash tab. You can get rid of all that stuff. You can get rid of, and you can properly deal with your, what are they called? The non-remove tabs? What are they,
just removal
tabs? Remove only tabs. Like you can deal with all those properly, things you want to move over. Like it was so nice to have that whole evening. My wife was playing Sims that night, so it worked out perfect. But to have that whole evening to just do what I needed to do, dot my I's, cross my T's. And if I was playing League the next day, I'd be completely ready. I could delete characters to make sure that I had a good amount of characters to start the new League with. I wouldn't have to, on PC, it's like you go to start the queue and you're like, oh, no, I've got to delete a character. I got to buy a new character. Then you hit one wrong button and you're back into the queue again. Like it's nice to just, that's done right off the bat. So I really hope they add that for PC. I hope I sent that in as a suggestion. But anyway, that was great. And so console is completely up to date with PC. And we'll get into the bug fixes in a sec. There's build of the week. They're starting again. Okay, so cool. If you want your builds to be considered, you have to have them in the forums on PathofExile's website. And I love the RAQ that GGG does that recently asked questions. I mean, for some reason, they post the actual patch notes as opposed to just have a link, but it's really nice to just like, this is what we're working on. This is what we're working on. Here's a patch. This is what we're working on. And I like it. I think it's awesome that they do that. And I really hope they keep that up. Let's see. And then since last Friday, there was 1, 2, because that's when we recorded last. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 patches.
I think some of them actually came out. I feel like we talked about some of them.
A couple.
Yeah.
A couple. And then there was one big one. They're all hot fixes except for there was the big B patch notes. And that was the big kahuna.
It was the start of their fixing stuff.
Yeah. And interesting for me anyway, there's no console specific changes. And it's really neat because now it seems like they're at that stage now where if anything they change on controller support for PC is just automatically done for console. You know what I mean? Like it's all the same thing now. I mean, doesn't mean they won't make it, but it encouraged me. I thought it was good news that there weren't console specific changes because maybe there didn't need to be.
There wasn't console specific. I was curious about the one though, where they said they made some improvements for Trails of the Ancients with controller UI. Did you notice any of that? Had you tried it since that B patch?
Yes, I didn't go into the help section yet because I actually didn't know that they changed it. Like I played after the B patch came out, but I wasn't paying attention to when the B patch. I was, this week, of course, it's the first week, but my wife was also, she's always in a Sims mood at League launch. It's just, I tell her, like, just wait a week.
She's like, I gotta raise a child.
Don't. But the kids love watching. They're all, the kids watch her and they're like all into the families that they have and which ones are like alien hybrids and which pets. And then they're all like almost crying because one of the cats died in the game. But no, it's and my wife's fantastic. She's like, oh no, I thought that you were gonna have the whole week to yourself. I'm like, and I know she's really itching to play Sims. And I'm like, no, you go ahead. I got the weekend. You go ahead. You do your thing. And so she took Tuesday, and I forget why I was saying that. Oh right, because yesterday I loaded the game. I was relatively apathetic to be PC specific this week because Trails of the Ancients had lots of work that needed to be done to it still. And so I was waiting for that work to be applied before I tried it again. And so it was a good week to share, that's for sure. And so when I played last night, and I think I only did like 3 or 4 maps last night, but then I did a whole bunch of the trails. And I like this. We should keep it up. We should every single league. Because we miss it, Yoji. You know what I mean? Like all that intentional screwing things around, and we should filter on his spirit. So anyway, the Trails of the Ancients. I think I did 3 tournaments,
like full tournaments or just matches.
Yeah, okay, full tournaments, and then that. So I did notice some of the improvements gameplay wise. I don't know how to fix this because A is your interact button with almost everything, like menu wise, totem wise. You're going to it's your interact button with almost everything UI wise, but it's also an active button, and
yeah, that's tough.
You're just as starved for buttons on controller as you are for PC, right? Like I technically get 12 buttons, right? I have A, B, X, and Y, but then I can hold left trigger and then I get A, B, X, and Y. I can hold right trigger and get A, B, X, and Y. But I'm an aura guy. I'm a minion guy. There's all that stuff. There's the same kind of clunky way to switch which button is allocated to which skill. You know what I mean? Like, on PC, you just click the skill and then select another one, and then it's displayed there where W would normally be. It's the same, like, it's not the same process, but the same kind of clunkiness, takes the same amount of time, it's not something you want to do in combat type of thing. So you have, I remember to turn
Tyler and his notifications
off, but one.
I don't think we've ever had an episode where Tyler's not getting a notification.
No, I'm getting in trouble for my wife. Can you please try and be cognizant of the coffee grounds when you make coffee? I have to clean up spilled coffee grounds over the last few days.
You are the worst. Is that how she ended it? I hope so.
Love you. That's my response.
Nice job.
I could have waited for that one. All right. So silence that. My apologies. What was I talking about?
The controller. I was going to say, with regards to the controller and your A button, because when you're channeling, you can't use skills anyway. But the problem for a controller is that if I start to channel on a totem, I can stop channeling and use any skill I want. Whereas for a controller user, if you were to stop channeling, you'd have to be careful not to use whatever the A skill was, because then you'd get back into the channeling. Because I assume that takes precedent over the skill.
When you're within range, yes, but those fights are very busy, and there's
totems everywhere.
Now they do have, there's a lot of them, but now you do have a highlight over the totem when you're close enough, when you're within range. But when the screen is just of everything, it's pathofexile, you can't see the highlight. So right now my A button is casting my regular skeletons. It's easiest for me because I have my instant skill as X, and so it's just easy for me to press down on the lower button to do my cast. My Y is my escape, that's my frostblink, and then B is my Val skeletons. And all the others are used up with either permanent minions or auras. So I am pretty starved for buttons. I mean, it's just how it goes. But there's many times where I'll walk up to a totem, think I'm channeling, and then I just realize I'm just like skeleton. And so I'm like, I see a red bar coming towards me. I'm like, no, I'm going to get this totem. I don't care if I get stunned. I'm going to get, and then they hit me and I'm not stunned. And I just realized I've just been casting skeletons nonstop for like 10 seconds and the bar wasn't moving. So, but it's funny. I just need to be within range. But sometimes it's hard to tell if you're within range. But outside of that, the gameplay for controller support has improved substantially. Unfortunately, I didn't think to double check about the help menu that I was complaining about before, because now I know what I'm doing. I discovered it without the help menu afterwards. So, but yeah, so far the controller improvements have been good. I wrote a bunch of bugs about it earlier in the week. So
sweet. Well, that's good.
Yeah, thanks for pointing that out. But there were lots and lots of fixes. There were some where it was like a list of improvements, and then underneath there were bug fixes. And about half of those improvements, I'm like, no, I know the standard for quality that I have is different than you, but no, those are bug fixes. Those aren't improvements. The standard for what things should be is when it's low, when the fixes are below that standard, they're bugs. And like what was one of them? Made some improvements to Trials of the Ancestor controller support. Well, those were under improvements, and those are mostly just bug fixes. Player flasks also now refill at the end of a match, as opposed to when the match first starts.
We talked about that last week.
Yeah. There was a bug where, and here's one that, like, in my opinion, this isn't stuff that gets, like, this isn't something that tells me you had a lot of time to make the league. When you have a bug, like, fixed a bug where warriors with equipment cost less favor than the same warrior without equipment. That's, of course, it's fixed, and that's a good fix. It makes sense. A warrior with equipment should be more expensive than one without. It's just, those are like the pretty blatant, obvious ones where if you had the time, it doesn't get launched. There's no way that gets launched.
It is a weird one that came out with. Mm-hmm.
So, but there were quite a few bugs like that or improvements, wherever they want to classify it, where it was like, if you had the time, those are things that definitely, like, it's hard. It's difficult. Like, I did QA for 7 years, I think. I don't know. Do you remember?
Mm-mm.
I don't know. Anyway, I did like 6 or 7 years of QA with EA, and like, you test what you can, but you only test what you have. And if you're told to test gameplay, well, you're not testing the UI, right? Especially when if you have the PC shortcuts that they have the possibility of using, you just, these are the things I'm testing, and I go in game, okay, this is how it's going to feel, and you just kind of skip the UI. So who knows how much time they actually had, but it's a lot of the stuff that they're changing doesn't seem like they actually had a lot of time for Trials of the Ancients before League launch.
You just said Trials of the Ancients. Now you're switching it up.
I don't know what the proper one is.
You don't even know anymore.
Trails of the. Okay, so anyway, you go ahead. I've been talking lots.
Okay, well, I do want to talk about the good stuff, because that was a lot of my experience was positive, but I'm going to start on the other side. So
wait, you're starting on both sides?
No, I was really frustrated with GGG and Path of Exile this week, and quite a few times, and found myself a number of times through the week going, I don't know why I'm playing. Like, why do I not just turn on Baldur's Gate or something else that I'm really enjoying, that I can just chill out and play? Because Path of Exile sometimes is not just a chill out and play game. And sure, it's made worse when there's stuff happening in the game that I feel like should not be happening, that I don't understand how they still have some of this stuff going on in their game. And I feel like there's no way some of this stuff was properly tested. And that's frustrating when you're trying to play. And I mentioned to you, I think yesterday, I don't like feeling like I should not touch League content for 2 or 3 weeks so that they can fix it. That is really frustrating, because that's why I play the new League. I start up Path of Exile at the beginning of each League because I'm excited about the League content. It's not because of Path of Exile per se. It's the League content. It's what's new. And
I saw some posts on Reddit about people having conversations with some prominent streamers that say they don't bother with League content for at least the first week. And it's for the exact same reasons that you said. It's despite the fact that quality is better. This is unfortunately not in terms of what the League is, but just the quality with which it was put out. It's just not up to snuff. And they say like, it's not worth it. There's going to be so many changes within the first week that you really don't want to bother.
I love the idea of the Trails of the Ancients, and I think one of their fixes where they increased the rewards was actually really good. I think their new rewards that they offer are actually really good, and they progressively get better as you progress through the tournament. I have found them to be very, very good. I like that side of it. I
got 10 alks on one of them, and I'm still at monster level 1.
Yeah, so I think the reward system that they've got is in check, but I think the fact that I mean, I could give you a list of some of the stuff, and I get that some of it's probably been fixed now or being fixed. I saw one of the fixes like late last night or early this morning that came out for one of them, but there's just some of them where I'm just going like this should not have ever made into the game. So I played last night. Work's been super stressful this week. I had some time in the evening. My kids were, just getting ready for bed, just hanging out in the evening. I'm like, I'm going to play for a little bit. It got me so mad that I was like, no, I can't play for the rest of tonight, or I'm going to actually lose my mind in the podcast tomorrow. And that's not a fun feeling when you're tired and you just want to play a game and then you're angry. So I go to start doing some trails. I had been mapping the Atlas. Has been fine. I actually really love the new Atlas Keystones. I think they're so much fun. We can talk about that in a minute, but I love the Atlas, the new Atlas. But I started to do some trails. I was going to, work my way through. I think I'm at like, I don't know. I'm not high. I get that people are like in whatever, thousands of ranks. I think I'm around 280, 300. And the frustration was for me, there are so many things in it that just shouldn't be there. So one, there's 2 particular bosses, but I can't remember their names. I wouldn't be able to say them properly, even if I could remember them. But one of them, it has a slam, and he's got a group of people who do hammer slams with him. The damage in that hammer slam is not right. There has to be something wrong, because it can 2-shot me and they're quick. Like, and I go, okay, maybe I need to move around behind him. Nope, it does an area of effect as well as in front of him. Like it does a line in front of him and an area of effect around him. I'm melee. What, like, the guy's constantly slamming. How am I supposed to do anything to kill this guy? And his damage is so high. So that's one thing. Drives me crazy. Stupid health.
Just do an Elden Ring where you jump when the damage is on the ground and then it doesn't hit you.
And I have like super high armor. I've got full fortify always up. Like I'm leeching, like it shouldn't be doing what it's doing. There is a I almost said something I shouldn't have said, but I'm
very curious what that is.
I'll have to tell you later, but there's casters or something. I can't tell if they throw a weapon at you or something, but if you I've had it now where I'm channeling a totem and a spear or something comes from off the screen and I'm dead. I'm not just like, I didn't get chunked, I'm dead. And I'm like, what the?
Off screen is infuriating me
brutal.
With this.
Okay, you want to stun me? Fine. I still think it's too long and it's dumb. It shouldn't happen from off screen. I think that's crazy. Like it doesn't give me even time to react to think like how, okay, I gotta stop channeling because there's an enemy coming towards me. This is spears coming from off screen and instantly killing me. And I'm going like, how is that possible? I have 78% resist. I don't even know, like 90 something percent armor. It doesn't make any sense that is one-shotting me and killing me. I don't know what it is.
Especially like, how are you supposed to even know it's a spear when the screen's going?
No, I'm just barely catching some projectile coming towards me and then just dead. And I'm going, that can't be. That should never have happened. And then last night, what made me just lose my absolute mind was I'm doing a fight. I had gotten down to one. They had one totem left, and it was a non-boss totem that was left. It was this mob that puts a blue RF around their totem, right? And this RF degen is bananas. Like you could not channel their totem down and stand in it. You have to like channel it and then get out. And then wait, and then go back in and channel it, and then get out. So it does a lot of damage, which fine. That's a mechanic. Okay, I get it. I guess it's on whenever this mob's up. But I happen to not. I guess the visual for the RF is also not super correct because even when you're a little bit outside of it, you're still degenning. So I don't know if it's. I can't tell if it's because it's staying on me or if I'm still in it. But anyway, I die just outside of that thing. Now I have a number of the mobs that are utility that will stop totems around me from reviving and will also speed up my own team's totems when they're reviving. So I'm
those guys.
Yeah, when they work, if they work, which they have been. I get it. They've been patched. They were patched this morning. It's been fixed. But I'm laying there dead and I'm going, this seems a little bit long. And this is not the first time it's happened where I've sat there for a long time and I'm going, they're not channeling my totem. There's only one mob. Now, granted, you can't look, which is also stupid. I can't see anything else on the screen. That is the dumbest thing in the world.
The screen just stays on you. You don't. Right. You can't use the arrow buttons to look around and see what's going on.
Right,
which is so dumb.
You should be able to. Maybe that's outside of the scope of their technology. Whatever. I don't get it.
No, but their mini map. You can do it with the mini map.
Well, you can open the mini map. Yeah, that's true.
Well, that's right. It's the same thing.
Yeah, I don't know, but so I can't see anything. I'm just laying there dead. And after about 3 to 4 minutes, I actually opened up. I literally, while I'm laying there dead, had to Google what's the shortcut to open up NVIDIA Shadowplay because I didn't know what it was. Found the shortcut for my NVIDIA Shadowplay so I could record it. Opened up NVIDIA Shadowplay, hit the button, started recording, and for like another 2 minutes, I laid there dead. I was on the ground dead for about 6 or 7 minutes. And my totem was full health. All of my team's totems were up. Only one enemy totem was there, and I kept getting the buff that said your revive timer is being sped up by your allies. Turns out there was a bug where when they were casting that on you, they were actually stopping you from reviving.
It was doing the opposite. Yeah.
That never should get out. That's insane to me that's a bug fix. You can't create a mob that has one specific job and then not make sure that job works. And even worse, make it do the opposite. Like, okay, maybe it does nothing. So fine, you just sit there and wait. But I sat there and stared at a screen for 6 to 7 minutes. There was no surrender, which why would I want to surrender anyway? They only had one totem up. All my idiot mobs just kept walking into the RF and dying because they can't channel the totem. And I had to wait until they killed. I had to wait until somehow it just got lucky that maybe their mob killed my resers or my people trying to increase my res timer before I finally revived. I was just, by that point, I was so pissed. I was so frustrated with the game because I was like, this is not fun. I don't enjoy it. I'm getting one shot by this one boss who I'm trying to figure out, like, how do I easily take him out early, because I can't fight him once he's got too many slamming warriors with him. And I'm getting one shot by off-screen random things that are happening. I don't understand it. There's no visual clarity at all as to who's on my team. So when I go up to a totem, if I'm thinking like maybe I've got a few seconds to start channeling it, I actually don't know if the guys around me are mine or theirs. I don't get why they can't put like some red outline or something on the enemy, so I know that this little iguana that's running towards me is actually my buddy versus an enemy. So I don't know if I should be channeling or not yet. It's a
really ugly fix. Like, it's not something that I want GGG to shrug their shoulders at and be like, well, you have this option, because it would be nice if there was a little bit more visual clarity there, but
or make the enemy a different shade. Like, okay,
if you turn on the enemy, if you turn on the health bars,
doesn't matter if you haven't hit them. They don't have a health bar until you hit them. Know.
I play minions, so maybe my minions are just hitting everything. I do see it, but it is still the clarity. Like, even if they weren't to do that, but they were to add something to the mini map, like the mini map doesn't give me enough information for me to enjoy, to play strategically. You know what I mean? Like, you're only told when a totem is getting hit.
Yeah, starting to get.
You know what I mean? You're not when there's like a fight going on near a totem. When one of your totems dies, you don't know which one it is, right? You're not given a list of your characters, a small list of icons on the side that tells you who's alive and who's dead, if they were escorts, if they were flankers, if they were defenders or attackers. And so to me, to enjoy the pure strategy of how this works, more information needs to be available to me while I'm in combat, so I can make a decision without actually needing to run to the far side to see what's actually happening. You know what I mean?
So yesterday, after I'm frustrated, I'm like, forget it.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you're good. I agree with you. I'm frustrated. I'm like, forget it. I'm not going to play. And I closed the game and I thought, I'm going to go check. I'm curious. Like, is something wrong? Like, am I doing something wrong or what's going on? So I decided to go check Reddit out, which I have been on Reddit a little bit this league, because I actually find it fun when you have a game mode like this to see, like, what do other people find success in? How do they like to build
people
their team?
That actually play those modes in other games,
and it's enjoyable. So they're like people talking about their team setups. So I'm scrolling through Reddit, and sure enough, I'm seeing people talk about this rezzing thing must be working the wrong way. People were also mentioning the slamming thing being way overtuned or whatever. But one of the things that I saw as I was scrolling through, which I thought was hilarious, was this guy doing this build where he was using Cyclone and those reverse knockback gloves, which I've always wanted to make a build around. Like, I love the idea of knockback is reversed. They were using that to, it was really funny. The match starts and he cyclones right through the middle and then just starts pulling all of the enemies into the far right corner, which I thought was hilarious. It made me laugh, and I thought, oh, that's crazy that's working. And people are talking about how is it built, and people are trying to build or whatever. But then I nearly threw out everything pathofexile I've ever seen into the garbage when I saw that they put out a patch to fix that. And I was like, now hear me out. I get that shouldn't happen. I get that you're kind of abusing it. You're taking, maybe. I don't even think you are. It's their freaking mechanic in the game, and you're choosing to find a way to use it. I don't know if I totally agree with it being an abuse of the game. But the fact that they were patching that and leaving the bullshit still in, I have to say, last night I was so upset, because I was like, you fucking guys, you have a mob that's stopping rezzing. You have off-screen stuff that's one-shotting me. You have some of the most ridiculous stuff happening within your own mechanic of the game. And you're like, no. You guys can't do that. That's not fair. I was pissed.
Without a heads up too. Like, to me, fix the mechanic first, then worry about the exploits. But then when you don't tell players ahead of time, hey, listen, this is a normal mechanic that's always in our game, but now it's not going to work out of nowhere. Like, say, like, hey, in an upcoming patch, this knockback's going to get changed. Like, to me, it's crazy that taunt doesn't work at all. I mean, you heard me last week or the week before. Immunities are stupid. Taunt's a legit part of the game.
Here's a weird thing about
weird that it's not, they didn't do taunt like knockback, where it's like you can only knock back 5 times within 5 seconds or something. Like, I forget what it was, but there wasn't an immunity. It was just a restriction. there wasn't a restriction to taunt. Like you can taunt for 1 second every 5 seconds or something. It was just, you can't.
Well,
like,
here's what I have a question about
builds.
taunt, because I saw that too, and I'm like, I'm using taunt. What the heck? Like now I can't use it. I get the people are using the totem maybe to, again, I don't agree, but abuse it. Call it abuse. That's nonsense. It's their game mechanic. It's not abuse if you're using a taunt and a knockback in a reverse direction, whatever. But I saw somebody on Reddit, they were kind of joking about the idea that, well, you can still taunt. The wording is they're unaffected by taunt. And I'm like, this is why Path of Exile makes me angry sometimes, because so like, so they, and this post was amazing. It was very funny in the way that they worded this idea of like, well, it's not that they can't be taunted. They're just unaffected by taunt, which means they're still the effect of however it works. I don't even get it.
If you do extra damage against a taunted enemy, or they do reduce damage because they're taunted, it's still legit. They're just not changing their direction.
But yeah, it's dumb.
I love that.
Yeah, I'm fine with them doing something when they realize, like there was like a Sanctum thing where relics were dropping as divines. That's a bug. I get it. That shouldn't happen. Relics are supposed to drop as relics, not divines. You fix that shit real quick. But people are using a reverse knockback or a taunt to pull them away from your shitty game mechanic right now, which again, I love the game, but there's some really stupid stuff happening in it. So if people are finding a way to like make it easier, good.
Right.
Fix the mechanic. Then they don't have to do that. Then they can play it the normal way.
And at the end of the day, I'm the kind of, maybe it is an insane amount of people, but let them do it.
Yeah. There's like what, 100 people maybe that are doing this method.
I don't know.
Whatever it is, I don't even care if
it's
40,000 of them. It looks, I found it fun to watch. It's not something I personally would ever be like, well, I'm going to build a build for that. Like I would never build a build that's not never. I have done some for Sanctum, but that didn't look fun to me. It just looked funny. Like the idea of starting a match and then just holding Cyclone and waiting in the right-hand corner while your whole team has to clear stuff out. That wouldn't be enjoyable for me. Like I do like the fights. I actually enjoy trying to plan out like, okay, they've got this flanker. I need to make sure I take that flanker out in their totem. I like that. That part's fun. But I was so mad when I saw that they were patching that and they were still leaving in, like they did patch later, the resin. Put that out first, guys. Put that out way first. Like fix the knockback, or tell people like Tyler said that, hey, we didn't intend for this to be able to be done within the mechanics. So we are, just so you're aware, we are going to be coming up with some.
You spend all your currency, you're doing this. What if you just like spent all your currency, you revamped your build, and now you're going to be doing this? The very next day it gets patched without being told. Like we're talking builds being changed. That's like changing an Ascendancy keystone out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm. Which
without telling people.
I think it's fine for them to do it if they feel like it's a way of working with the mechanic that they didn't mean for. I get it. I do agree with you. They should give some heads up, but that stuff that you change after you've made sure that the rest of it is working fine. When you still have a mechanic where the wording isn't even correct and you're being stopped from resin, when you have off-screen spears coming through and one-shotting you, when you have like, there's so many other things that they could be working on. I just thought, this? You don't like that someone posted on Reddit that they're using knockback, or that people are using the totem to taunt? Like, you put it in there. But
right, like the taunt totems. I mean, look at how they changed the chieftain. They just, like, the chieftain, every totem taunts. And now this game mechanic is like, you can't taunt.
Oh, that's right. I didn't even think about that.
Like, what the?
Yeah, that's really... It doesn't make sense.
I mean, I know there's more keystones on there, but that's huge. That's so instead of using decoy totem, I can use the holy totem.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. And it's the 2-in-1. I can use the rejuvenation totem. And that actually works really well with the chief, just because of the totem perks that are in that keystone. Is like, you're just like, you want people to play your new thing, and then it's not. Anyway.
So that's the end of my complaints, because
okay.
I get that it might have been heavy, but it was really frustrating. I was like,
sure.
I'd hit a threshold of just being pissed off, and then the patch just sent me over the top. But I will say my week playing has been like, I really love the idea of Trails of the Ancients. I think it's such a cool idea. I don't like that I have to run all over the map to figure out who I'm buying from. Like, I feel like they could have been a little bit closer.
The NPCs could be a little closer.
They're a little bit far away. But I do like I like the idea of like figuring out how do I want to have a build? Who do I want to put in this position? What works well in this spot? Oh, one other thing, just to add to my bitching just for a second though. I don't know what does it, but I have had a couple matches now where I run in, I'm fighting with the mobs, the enemies, they respawn, and their whole team just goes bye and runs right, all of them run right through me and my enemy, my
it's like
allies,
they're all attackers
and go straight to the totems. Flankers. And I'm like, what the fuck? What? Like, I don't know what to do in that spot. Right. I'm like, I thought the
defenders are attacking. Everyone's going. I've had a couple matches like that. I couldn't believe
it. They ran. It was as if I wasn't even there. They just ran right through me and my guys and just went straight to the totems. And I'm like,
they all just start dancing next to a totem.
It's a moment of just being like, I don't know what to do. Do I go for totems? Do I go for them? What's happening?
Yeah. I'm looking forward to when it is properly balanced because it is fun. Right now, I'm not seeing now. I'm only level 74. I have a whole bunch of silver coins. I'm using them the way I use them.
Which great
the
drops.
Game seems to be well balanced. Yeah,
really good.
It's very well balanced. How often you get a silver coin? I don't feel like it's too much. I'm interested enough in the mechanic that I do want to use them, but I also find a value and an excitement to yes, I have 40. I can just do that for a while.
Yep,
and. So it's been a lot of fun to want to play it. And many of my matches have been enjoyable. I haven't come across any of the issues that you've come across. Again, though I'm low level, I've had, like 3 chaos, 5 chaos, 10 alks show up. And I'm like,
at a divine
low level, right? Like, yeah. So that stuff's really cool. When the totems when the tattoos show up, I'm like, ooh. When I bring up PoE Planner, I'm like, okay, how many more? That's one thing that I kind of wish you could, like, I don't know, maybe I feel like I'm screen hopping a lot with this because I'm like, okay, how many attributes do I have? How many can I afford? I have the choice between the strength one or this intelligence one, but which one should I do? And then, so, I kind of wish that there was something because it's very attribute specific, these tattoos. I would like there to be some sort of mini screen there that shows up when I'm selecting tattoos or doing anything with tattoos that says, this is how much of this attribute you have versus, like some of the tools they'll have like, okay, you need 155 dex for grace, or you need 242 for your current one that you have 242 int. So it would be nice to have that. And maybe, like a red number if I don't know, just something that tells you what your minimum is based on your equipment and skills that you currently have versus what you have for the tree. I do a lot of screen hopping. Now, screen hopping is something we are definitely used to because third-party apps are almost a must, unfortunately, for this game. So we're used to it. I just wish that in the game, I didn't have to go to third-party apps to, okay, now I got to bring up my character screen. Now I got to bring up how many in my PoE planner to see, okay, I'm going to get this much int. This is how much I have now. What can I afford? But I am really enjoying tattoos. Just the prospect of it. I think all of them are tempting in a way. And especially because, like, for me, I'm going to get 44 dex on my tree. I need 68. So I only need 24 more. But even those ones, those really puny little tattoos that just give you +4 to attributes, I'm like, I get a few of those. And that's great because it's also improving my health, but then it's going to get rid of that dex requirement there. Then I can use some other fancy dex specific ones that maybe I wouldn't be able to use elsewhere. And so I just love it. I really want tattoos to go core.
Do you know that if you scour them off your tree, they're just gone? Which makes sense. It's a tattoo, but I thought I was going to get it back.
It's considered a mod. It's not considered an item. Yeah.
So
I guess if you go to the tattoo guy and
the tattoo back,
he tries to erase your tattoo.
There's just nothing that tells you that. And so I was like, well, I threw Fortify into my actual build now, just to make it more consistent. I was finding the 5% when you could stun something to get Fortify. It was great for mapping, but it was awful for bosses. So I was working with Sojak. She was helping me try and scale up my build because there were a couple things that were frustrating me with it. And so I threw, yeah, he actually helped me a lot. But I put Fortify actually into my link. So I was like, well, I don't need this tattoo. Maybe I'll sell it. So I scoured it and I'm like, wait, where is it? Where did it go? Nope, it's gone.
That's too bad.
Yeah. But I do like the tattoos as well. They're super fun to get and then kind of think about. I have quite a few. I think I have like 4 or 5 of them on my build already. So I like them as well. That'd be fun if they went core.
Yeah. Yeah, I would love it. I don't care if this goes core or not. Like, I really find this fun, but I don't find it worthwhile XP wise. I'm not going through these fast enough because right now I'm 74. I go map, and every map, second map, third map, I'm leveling and I'm leveling and I'm leveling. Like, I see my XP bar. No, and so the XP wise, it's not worth it. That's my favorite part of the game. I mean,
it gets better.
I'm sure it does, and especially once I'm like level 90, and then and you know that degradation starts. Yeah, you know, you're not. I mean, sure, you'd like to get 91, 95, but at the same time, that's when that what's it called, the diminishing returns start for XP, and so I'm sure it has more value there. But when it comes to leveling, it's not worth it XP wise for me.
I got the last 15% from 90 to 91 in there without even noticing that I was like. That wasn't the purpose for me going in there in the trials.
I guess maybe that is a good balance, because if you can't die, maybe you shouldn't get more XP. Though that being said, the amount of time it takes to complete a match
sometimes
versus the amount of XP you get,
it
is. It's very hit and miss. And I'm not savvy enough in the league mechanic yet to know if it's going to be a long match based on what they have. When I look, like I was watching Respect Broccoli play lots this week, and I was like, he's going through and he's like, oh, wow, they have that there. I'm going to change. They're like putting so much thought into it, and they're loving the game mechanic, it seems. And I'm just like, I'm not looking at them at all. I'm just like, oh, okay, I think I want these guys blocking, these guys doing this. Escorts, your last place. You're my fillers, but definitely flankers first, then defenders, then attackers. And then I'm just like, who do I want doing what?
Flankers, then escorts.
You need defenders. I don't want to run around.
You don't really, though. The defenders are pretty dumb.
They are dumb. It is unfortunate. I am winning all my tournaments.
The escorts sometimes. Sometimes my escorts are like, nah, wait back here.
Right. There's a couple flankers too where I see them flanking and they're like, no, you're not flanking. They're like going through the middle all the way to the back. I'm like, no, that's not what I want. You brought up the Atlas passives. There's the 7th gate keystone, which I'm not sure. I'll read it to you. Okay. All possible league map crafting options are available while all 6 gateways are allocated. Yeah. So that's like every league crafting option. So not just the ones available for this league, but all of them that could ever be, right? The ones that are locked and unlocked. And so in the RAQ that GGG, where is it? Where's my button? In the RAQ, they have, can you please give us a list of all possible map crafting options when we allocate 7th gate and meet the requirements? And so there it is. Abyss, Enhance, Anarchy, Domination, Ambush, Breach, Torment, Beyond, Blight, Harbinger, Heist, Legion, Metamorph, Expedition, Delirium, Ritual, Harvest.
What are they priced
really
at?
Cool. Well, they show the prices, which is awesome. And I think that's cool. Really cool that they showed. I mean, hopefully that gets to go on the wiki sometime soon, because like Abyss is only 2, right?
How do you easily get to that RAQ?
I can just send you the link.
Yeah, but
in the forum, if you just click on announcements, it's at the very top.
No, it's not. Trials of the Ancestors launch live update is at the top. Oh, second top. I see it. Here it is.
Yeah, sorry. There's no red dot next to it. Yeah. No, you're good. And so it's like 6 or 7 down. But I thought that was really cool to have that list. I think that's such a wicked keystone. I'm not going to use it. I'm not going to bother with the gates. I have my specific content that I like, and I don't normally use this. But if you were someone that just always wanted that, and you didn't have to care what the Keurig map options were, I like that. But
does that mean Fortune Favors the Brave goes through all of those?
Yes.
Oh, that's fun.
Isn't it cool?
That is fun.
But at the same time, I think Fortune Favors the Brave loses its value a bit, because Fortune Favor, you just basically every map you put in is Fortune Favors the Brave. You know what I mean?
That is cool though. I didn't realize that, and yeah, it's really cool. A lot of people in Discord have been talking about it, and so that stood out to me when that was happening there. So pretty neat. So that was this week in PoE, but we also threw in a lot of our own stuff. I love the new Atlas passive. I think the new Atlas passives are in there. I've been playing with the Expedition one that makes one giant explosion.
Okay.
So fun.
Nice.
Your screen gets like a pause when you first hit the detonate.
Oh, I can imagine.
Because it's like triggering everything. It is fun, but I have definitely effed myself a couple times where something's it's too strong, plus it gets like maybe the regen every 4 seconds or something. And there have been there have been 2 maps in particular where I've had to have a mob chase me back to the start so that I can leap slime as fast as I can to get away from it so that I can still, like open the boxes and pick up the loot. And it does work.
Sure.
Thankfully, the you can still talk to whoever the NPC is, but yeah, I don't know. The Atlas passive to me is always my favorite because I don't feel like I can mess it up. Like I can just play around. If I don't like it, then I just change it. And then I think that's why it's one of my favorite parts about the end game in Path of Exile.
Yeah, that's really cool. So you're doing Expedition. What else are you doing?
So I started with Betrayal because I wanted to get the Elrion craft for the rings I knew I was going to need the minus mana cost to non-channeling skills. So I started with Betrayal due in June, getting working my syndicate tree to get Elrion. So I did get the crafts that I wanted, and then I pulled out of Betrayal, and I'm in strong boxes, shrines, Expedition, and now I'm at a point.
Hang on. It's not registering. Strong boxes,
shrines, Expedition, almost all of Expedition. There's one that doesn't make sense. I like the keystone, but the 3 leading to it is a slower detonation, and I'm like, it's a waste of 3 points because there is I don't have that anymore. But I do like what's at the end of those 3, but so it's not worth getting for me. But and now I'm debating where I go from here because I have lots still, like I'm in red tier maps, but I'm going to get still quite a few more points. So I'm debating if I'm going to go into the red altars. One of the things I really like Ritual. And
yes,
Ritual, it's such a hard one to plan for at the beginning of an Atlas because the main Ritual tree is all the way up at the top left. Like, in fact, most of the Ritual nodes are not super easy. I can hit Expedition, I can hit Strong Boxes, I can hit Essence, I can hit those right away. But if you want to go Ritual, you're kind of like committing to it as you're trying to progress the Atlas.
Yes.
So
I like progressing like that, though. It's like my builds too, right? I always, whenever I'm doing my build, I always, from my starting point, I do the closest neighborhood first. So when I'm starting with my chief, I'm normally going quite north because I'm always about the casting or the minions. So I'll get all my southern nodes first, and then I'll just take all the nodes as they come. Whether it makes sense or not for that moment, I'm just taking all the nodes. When I start as a witch and I'm going all the way down south on the west side, I get all the north ones first, every node. And I do the exact same thing with my Atlas passive tree, whether it makes sense. Fortunately for me, with my specific Atlas tree this time around, it works really well with the leveling process as well. But a big kudos to GGG on that, because a lot of their, like you were talking about, some of the mechanics that show up first, they're specifically designed to be down low, right? Like all the chances to increase your master missions that you might want, they're really close down below. All the ones that are increasing your chance for which master you could have as a reward for completing that, those are all down really low. And I mean, makes sense, but that's good thought on GGG's part. And so there's a lot of fun with that.
The map ones are a little hard to get to now, but I did get those too, like the 15% chance for it to be up a tier, and then it's got those map craft ones. I actually really like the way that it's laid out. Those are good to be
medium, though. Those are good to be medium because you're kind of wasting them on white maps if you get them anyway, right? You're just going to save them for later.
Use, one of the portal things, one of the gateways, which I'm using 4 of the gateways, which is fun. So I'll change my tree for sure later, but it's my favorite part because I don't feel like I can mess it up. I can just dick around with it, and at any point they're relatively easy to get the respec points for the Atlas. So it's fun for me. I like it. How's your play been? I have to say I am liking it. I bitched a little bit, but overall Atlas has been fun. Atlas passives are amazing. I like Bone Shatter. It's been feeling good. I've had some issues with it where I was like, why am I getting chunked so bad? Yeah. So I worked with Soja, and he was helping me try to figure out what I was missing and what was going on. So it's definitely felt a lot better after I did some work on the build. But I do really like Path of Exile. I just want to play the League content, and I was feeling this week like it was stopping me from wanting to play. But how's your build going?
Good. Thanks for asking. I'm ascended 3 times. It was so easy. It's so freaking strong. I'm really happy with it. And I like how it progresses. So I'm a Necro, started at the Witch, got the 2 minion clusters, the survivability clusters on the right-hand side, and then got my damage in it. So now that I'm getting down south to all the strength nodes and the resists and the armor, it's a nice progress because during the campaign, sure, there's a couple oh crap moments, but you're not overly concerned about all your mitigation when you're leveling, especially when you have minions that are taking your some of the attention away from you. I gotta say though, I've played with Meat Shield quite a lot. This is my first league without something having Meat Shield in quite some time, and it's amazing how often I get targeted when without Meat Shield. Like I have 8 zombies, 9 skeletons, and enemies are just like, there he is! And they're like running to me and like hucking, the throwing spears all the way. And so anyway, it was it's amazing how valuable Meat Shield is because of how often they focus on you without it. But anyway, it's been a very strong build so far. I'm level 74, ascended the 3 times. I have Commander of Darkness. I'm also running Purity of Elements, and I love that combo. And then I've gone all the way down to the Bone Armor Ascendancy, so I have that one going on for me now. And the last one I'm going to do is, well, I'm intentionally saving it because which one is it? There's the what's it called? I got to bring it up because my brain's farting. Is that a thing? Brain fart? Yeah, brain fart. I'm having a brain fart. Now my brain is farting. Mistress of Sacrifice, where offerings also impact myself. I do like that one a lot, but I'm curious to see what my survivability is without it. I kind of don't want to ascend yet if I had the opportunity, because I want to see what my survivability is like without that block chance, because I'm going to be using glancing blows as well. I'm going to be using the offering. I think it's bone offering that gives you the block chance, and then also life regen when you block. So I want to see what my survivability is like without that, because unnatural strength, that's where my minions have unholy might. That's quite tempting to me. But I'm also using brutality with my minions. So obviously unholy might wouldn't work with brutality, but I'm using skeletons and I'm using Val skeletons, and my Val skeletons. Oh, I have you written down. Hang on. Jarakal. Sorry if I'm not pronouncing it right, but thank you, Jarakal, in game for saving me a Val skeletons and just waiting until I was online and giving these to me. That was very, very thoughtful, and I really appreciate it. And I'm loving Val skeletons. One hasn't dropped for me yet, and I'm still doing all the Val side areas in hope for a 5 or a 6 link. So still on that 4 link, but I've been hoping for Val skeletons the whole time, and I wasn't getting, still haven't gotten it, but thanks to you, I do have it. So thank you, Jarakal. No, Jarakal. Yes. Okay, sorry. Saying it correctly. So anyway, I'm using brutality, but it's really wasting a lot of the Val skeletons part, because there's those, I forget what they're called, but there's the skeletons that have those auras that give them anger or hatred or whatever it is, right? Most of the time I see anger, and so they get that extra fire damage, but because they're linked to brutality, they're not getting that bonus damage, and that's a big waste of damage. I haven't brought that into PoB to see what that would be like. I don't know, but just from a gameplay perspective, I see this aura on my minions and brutality is getting rid of it, and I'm like, dang it, right? So it would be nice to have that, but if I'm getting rid of brutality, right away my mind's like, I need unnatural strength. I need that extra physical damage to go to chaos damage. And so I'm hoping survivability without Mistress of Sacrifice is legit. So I'm going to be going on just 3 Ascendancies until the 90s just to see what it's like. So it's been good. I've been really enjoying the build itself. With my Atlas passive tree, I'm using one of those waypoints too, or the portals. And that was just to get one of the shaping ones, the shaping the mountains, which is off to the side. That was my first one too. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But I'm focusing on Einhar. Okay. And then Anarchy and Torment. So Anarchy is the Rogue Exiles. And then Torment. And so I'll get into that in just a sec. I know. Are you okay with how long this is going? Mm-hmm. Not really.
No, you do your thing.
Okay. So I don't know. I really like all the. Oh, and then I have like some boss stuff, like all the completion ones for when you get the chance for a synthesis map on a boss completion, or Elder, Shaper, Guardian maps, Conqueror maps.
Already up there? Or is this your plan?
No, but that's just where it's going. I'm not going to change anything. It's just as I'm going. And then Intelligence Gathering is where I get the 10 intelligence per random syndicate. I like having that one because once you're ready to run it, even if you don't care about it, it's just the extra XP you get for running those pretty easy strand runs all the way up. So I really like that. So that's what I'm doing. But it's fun because I'm not playing quickly, but I'm finding that I'm getting Jun often enough that even without speccing into Jun, I'm always able. I'm just keep getting those upgrade materials. I'm not really running out. Now I'm not playing often, so it's not like if I was playing often, I'd probably be missing out. So I'm intentionally not running, even though I'm speccing into Einhar. I'm still just clearing white maps, but I'm specifically not selecting Einhar in hopes that I get Jun, which I am often. And so I'm still getting a lot of those upgrade materials, which is nice. And a lot of the times now when I'm getting these rings or whatever it is, I already have all the upgrades. So I know some will unlock a little bit later. It's just because of my level. But so on console, the night that my wife was simming, I respec my Atlas passive tree. I do a legacy map to unlock, the current version of the map. And so now I'm only short the T16s, the default T16s. It's insane, Justin. Like, I don't know. I remember why. Now that I've done it, I remember why I quit. But to have rogues, fully invested rogues with fully invested torment.
Yeah, I don't know why you do that to yourself.
It's insane. It is so nuts. And then when they roll to have doubles and pairs and to have like 20 in a map, it's crazy. You get so much stuff. Like, even if you're living, you're getting so many portals. Like, so you're like using all your portals just to be like, I gotta trade that, and I can't get rid of all of it. Like, I gotta trade it, and it's just so much stuff. But it is so difficult. I absolutely love it. I can't wait to do some maps with you while I have all that unlocked, because it is just so it's so fun, so fun. Of course, there's still going to be some stupid combos, where certain combinations of mods from Torment and the combinations of the Rogue Exiles are just a horrible pairing and you're just screwed. But so there's two things that I'm very curious about. This is regarding Torment and then the Atlas passive tree. Speaker of the Dead. No, that's the wrong tab. Speaker of the Dead is the new keystone for Torment, and it lets tormented spirits possess players for 20 seconds. But it also means tormented spirits cannot possess monsters. All right. Now, of course, there's other perks to that as well, because you can touch other monsters and then, you get those perks from it. But there's also right next to it. This is right next to it. The notable is map bosses have a 10% chance to be surrounded by tormented spirits. So think about this. Let's say you roll that and then they're surrounded by tormented spirits. Let's say there's 5 tormented spirits around the boss. Well, if the boss can't get those, but I can, how great would that first 20 seconds be of that boss fight? Now, granted, I'm a minion player, so probably half of those tormented mods won't impact me properly. But if you were melee,
you feel casting, like a god for a few seconds.
But imagine if it wasn't a minion build where you weren't dealing with that, and it was your build or a caster build or whatever, and you have 5 tormented spirits. The second you walk into that boss fight, they all come upon you. I kind of want to experience that. I want to fully flesh out the tree, and then I'm gonna play with that until I get to that. I want to see if it works. I hope it does. I want to see if it works. But anyway, that one's a pretty exciting one. Hey, did they change the pantheons? I feel like there's some of the pantheons, but some of them seem much more tempting than they used to be.
I haven't noticed any changes for quite a few leagues now.
Anyway, there were some that were like, oh, wow, that's really good. I think one of them was the poison one with, like, you can't have more than 3 poison stacks. They last a lot less. It just seemed really, really strong. So anyway.
I think the pantheons are pretty strong in general, but you also have to, there's a bit of work to upgrading them.
But so almost done here. Did you know, so I respect my chief in standard, right? I stayed with the chieftain to see what that's like for Righteous Fire, to see what it's like to just have 89% max resists. It's crazy. I don't even have the gear for it, but I have a mod that, increases my my skills that reserve or aura skills for, by 1 level. Yeah, take that one notable that increases your skill efficiency by 10%. This, that, and other thing. All of a sudden I'm at 89% and I don't have any gear that increases my max. And so I'm interested to see how that goes just with Righteous Fire in a general survivability way. So I decided to do the same thing that I'm doing with skeletons, and I'm using Righteous Fire in my 6th link, but I have Searing Totem or Searing Bond linked to that as well. So it's 2/5 links. And I have, just in case, a battle's really tricky, I also have Rejuvenation Totem to cast instead of Searing Bond, just in case, right? If I'd rather just have the survivability than the damage. And so that's just on a separate, that's not part of the same link. It's just out there, but I can cast it. So with Searing Bond, it gives you the +1, right? So you can always have, just the skill itself lets you cast 2 totems. I didn't know that was a global modifier, not a local modifier to the skill. So I can cast Searing Bond once. Then I can also cast Rejuvenation Totem, and they're both up.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Now, I'm not going to do that because I don't do all the button presses, but that's what I noticed. That I thought that was interesting. What else was really nuts is Searing Bond connects to all totems. So I cast 1 Searing Bond and I cast 1 Rejuvenation Totem, and I'm actually linked with a Searing Bond to my Rejuvenation Totem. There's just no connection from Searing Bond to Rejuvenation. But I still, so normally it would be if I have 2, let's say I'm making a triangle, right? Me and then the 2 Searing Bond totems. It would be a triangle of the Searing Bond burning line, whatever you call that. But if I do 1 Searing Bond and 1 Rejuvenation Totem, it's a triangle, except there's no line between the Rejuvenation
I get it.
and the Searing Bond. But I didn't know that. I don't know if that's a glitch because nobody ever plays Searing Bond and nobody's ever found it. But I thought that was kind of neat. That you can just get that free +1. And a lot of the times, like, I'm not actually caring about where the line of Searing Bond is. I'm casting it so that's just doing a different kind of dot damage to the enemy. And then with how the Chieftain works, I just want it to hit. It's like a decoy totem anyway that deals damage, right? I'm just casting it. They're going to attack it. It has good survivability just because of that keystone. It's taking that damage. I'm close enough to it. So all of a sudden, I might have a 2-button build where I always have Rejuvenation Totem there anyway.
Cool.
So that's that.
Sweet. Did we cover everything you wanted to talk about?
One more thing.
Go for it.
And this is just a, did you know?
Okay.
But when I'm converting standard maps to current maps, right? Legacy maps to the current league's maps. They trade 1-to-1, right? Normally, like if you're trading within the league, you have to trade 3 maps for 1 map.
Yeah.
When you're trading legacy maps for current league maps, the trade is just 1-to-1. It's just an automatic conversion. Right? I mean, that's the way it used to be before they had the auto map conversion, right? So the auto map conversion does it for you automatically. But if you have too many maps of one thing and it doesn't fit in the tab, you have more than 72 maps, then you have to do it manually through a vendor. And then, so anyway, that's 1-to-1. But one thing that I just discovered, I don't know how I didn't notice this before, but it also saves all the mods. So if I have monsters have a chance to poison on hit on the legacy map, I convert it, even though it's going to, like, it's not going from like a glacier map to glacier map. It's going from glacier to, I don't know, something else,
whatever else
channel. Yeah. But it'll keep all the mods, all the quantity, all that. I didn't know that.
That is cool.
So did you know?
I definitely did not. If there was anything regarding standard into something else,
nope,
I would not know.
That's right. And last thing, it is a wonderful compliment, and I am excited for this league mechanic to get better because I do really want to enjoy it. It does seem like it's a lot of fun and they put a lot of effort into it. One thing that I noticed a lot while Respec Broccoli was going into their, like, being really into the league is how cultural this league is. You know what I mean? Like, there's just so much visuals, but there's so much in terms of like accent and dialogue and just how all the items you get and the characters and how they're dressed. But even just like I was looking at just like the items of it and just the power of the tattoo when it's there, like it's all just seems very cultural, kind of not like you're there per se, but it's just interesting. Like you're surrounded by this culture, right? You have these totems, you have these people, you feel really immersed. And then all of a sudden you're putting a tattoo on you and you feel like you're becoming a local. And I like it. I think this is one of the most immersive leagues that I've felt in a long time.
I like the commenting as you're about to start a match. Most of the time I don't listen to it, but one that did catch me off and made me laugh was, I don't know which boss it was, but he yelled at the lady, "Nobody listens to you."
Oh, that's funny.
Laugh.
That's funny.
Anyway, I agree with you. I'm looking forward to it. I have had frustrations this week, but overall, like 90% of my matches were fine. They were, maybe a little bit of frustration here or there, but it's crazy how much that small percentage can set you off when it just, I don't mind losing. I'm not going to win every one. That's fine. I just don't want to lose to something stupid or win and just, again, something dumb happening. So anyway, let's wrap this up. Forever Exiled, a podcast. I'm Justin, AK Tags.
Tyler, Wrecker of Days, a host.
Episode 203. Thanks everybody for hanging out with us. Patrons, will catch you in After Dark. Everybody else, we'll see you next week in 204. If you're looking for more information, you'll find it down below. We got a website, foreverexiled.com. We're on Twitter, foreverexiled82. We have a very fun Discord. If you're not in there, what the heck? And Patrons and other ways to support the podcast, you'll find them down below and on our website. Sayonara.
Love ya.